Hello, Storytimers. It's Miss Sheree here. And although I'm not at the Northfield Library, I'm here at school. Yes, I'm at school to share with you a very special story. And that story is The Smallest Girl in the Smallest Grade by Justin Roberts. Hardly anyone noticed young Sally McCabe. She was the smallest girl in the smallest grade. Sure, her name could be heard in the daily roll call, and she marched with her books down the same school hall. But hardly anyone noticed young Sally McCabe. And they certainly didn't know, or at least didn't mention, that Sally was paying super extra special attention. To the abandoned kite with the tangled string, to the 27 keys on the janitor's ring, to the leaves as they turned to green and gold in the fall, to the time Tommy Torino was tripped in the hall. She watched as the wildflowers tipped toward the light and heard the howl of a hound dog late one night. She was there when the stray cats, who normally fought, conducted a meeting in the church parking lot. And she'll never forget that parent-teacher day when Billy's much larger father suddenly dragged him away. But through all the mean words and all the cold stares, no one even noticed that Sally was there. And they certainly didn't know, or at least didn't mention, that Sally was paying super extra special attention. She'd seen how a whisper could make someone cower, like a bulldozer crushing through fields of wild flowers. And it kept piling up, this discarded debris, those beautiful kites tangled in trees. So on February 3rd at 11:29, Sally stepped straight out of that lunchroom line. She said, "I'm tired of seeing this terrible stuff. Stop hurting each other. This is enough." Now, a few laughed out loud or didn't care that there was some girl with her hand in the air. But then something super extra special happened that day as Howard O. Henry suddenly set down his tray. Like waves rolling in, one after another. First Molly rose up, then Michael's twin brother. It was Tyrone and Terrence, then Amanda and Paul, who pushed out their chairs and stretched their arms tall. From the friendly lunch lady with the dishes she carted, to that new third grade teacher who had recently started. Yes, everyone there, even Principal Claire, had joined little Sally with their fingers in the air. And though hound dogs were destined to howl at night, and most stray cat meetings would end up as fights, and kites would continue to get stuck in trees, they all felt, for a moment, like the janitor's keys, fastened together with a heavy steel ring that held all the secrets to unlock everything. As the world returned to the way that it was, Sally noticed a difference, as she usually does, when Billy paused briefly to open the door for Mrs. O'Connell and 17 more. Or when Molly scooched over to make some space on the coral riser for Ellen and Grace. These moments that often get taken for granted, a wildflower appearing that no one had planted. The swing soon resumed their rhythm and sway, and day turned to night, and night turned to day. People remembered and would quite often mention that Sally had been paying extra special attention, and how the world could transform and change could be made by the smallest girl in the smallest grade. The end. And that is the story of how super special attention taken by someone in the smallest grade can make a huge difference to everyone in the school. And that's something we all should try to do. Stand up for what's right, and it can make a huge, giant difference in the world. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you stick around for the craft. But if not, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. So we just finished reading the book, The Smallest Girl in the Smallest Grade, written by Justin Roberts, but the illustrator is Christian Robinson. And what's great about his books, as you can see from the cover, is that he uses lots and lots of different types of skin colors, and just colors in general. So for this craft, you'll be taking that inspiration and using it, inspired by one of the scenes in the book, which is everyone lifting their hands in the air, standing up for what's right. So you will need some crayons. I'm using a brown marker, but you can use black, purple, just a dark color so that you can trace, a pair of scissors, and some glue. I'm using a glue stick. So once you have all your materials, you will need some paper. I will be using some skin colored paper, so you can use your match if you have these types of colors. Browns, like a peachy tan. If you have a color that matches, use that. But if not, don't worry. The other alternative is to always use white and then use your crayons to add decorations. The first thing that we will do is trace our hand. So I'm taking my paper, taking my dark colored marker, and I'm going to use my hand as my stencil, and I'm going to trace around it. So I'm going to put my hand at the top, and then I'm going to take my marker, and I'm going to follow my arm as well as my fingers. So I'm going to take my arm, follow as best as I can, taking my time, going around each finger. There we go. So just take your time. You can even ask a grown-up for help. Making sure you get your arm down at the bottom if you want. And there we go. So step one is done. So as you can see, I've just traced my hand. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut what we've just traced. Here we go. Okay, so I cut out my hand and my arm at the end of the paper there. And now the next part is to grab your glue. So in the story, you'll see that everyone held their hand up, but they also had their hand up in a certain position with their fingers. So this is my thumb, and this is my pointer finger. I'm going to leave those two alone. I'm going to take the other three fingers and add some glue to their fingertips. So I'm going to put some glue there at the top. And then I'm going to fold it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you're pressing down so that glue really sticks. I'm going to do the same thing to the next finger. There we go. And now I'm going to do the same to my little pinky here. And as you can see, mine keep popping up because I have to press down to make sure everything is sticking really, really good. And there we go. If you want to take it a step further, you can even add some details. So maybe I'll give myself some fingernails. There we go. And maybe you can even add some bracelets around your wrist using other colors. I'll give myself maybe a nice watch. You can definitely use all the colors you want. I'm just using brown for our example. I'm wearing a watch. And there I go. So you can decorate yours however you seem, and you can definitely use any color paper that you wish. I just hope that you have fun with this craft and that you enjoy the story. I enjoyed sharing it with you. I hope to see you at the next story time. Have an awesome, awesome week. Bye-bye.